Good evening, guys. This is Javier with the Real Javier Novoa, a channel, a methodology, and a platform, and a modality where we apply the principles of philosophy, spirituality, mysticism, and business, and planning to rapid lifestyle transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, this week we're going to be going into the nitty-gritty examples of strategic planning. I'm here in my planning area, in my office, in my war room, so to speak, metaphorically speaking, because this is strategy here, and it's strategy for rapid lifestyle transformation. It's all dedicated to getting you off the prison grid, to getting you free from a job and a boss within 6 months to a year. Now remember, these time frames are all on the physical. And remember, the main gist of this channel and the main philosophy of this channel, knowing your divinity and knowing that we are outside of time and space, at base, at root, says that we can get to that other film roll in the blinking of an eye, and therefore time has no significance. But for the sake of the game, and for the sake of getting your energy free, for the sake of freeing your mentality so that those serendipities can come into your life, and so that you can get onto that other film roll outside of time and space, and I promise you it will be a lot sooner than 6 months to a year, but we're putting this time frame in place to sort of allow you to take a breath and to relax. And there's a precedent for this in Neville Goddard, and I just want to read from the great book of Neville Goddard, Your Faith is Your Fortune. I have it right here. I have The Power of Imagination, which is basically all of Neville Goddard's books, because I want to lay the framework, so to speak, both scripturally and from the great teachers, for what we're going to do, so that you can rest assured that this is the correct modality in law of assumption. Because what we're doing here is we're leveraging philosophy, we're leveraging law of assumption, and we're leveraging good planning so that we can use them all and combine them all to get you where you want to be faster than you thought possible. And this chapter is called Interval of Time. And he basically says that man is such a slave to time that if after he has appropriated a state of consciousness which is not now seen by the world, and the appropriated state, does not immediately embody itself, he loses faith in his unseen claim. Forthwith he drops it and returns to his former static state of being. Basically, if he doesn't see it within a subconscious or unconscious time frame, then he gives up reverting to that state. He gives up getting into what we call in this channel state, and therefore he remains in the former time period, because he is now focused again on physicality. What Joe Dispenza says, people are now focusing on the materialism, and people are now focusing on the physicality rather. And what this channel aims to do is to give you tools that will keep you in your state, and that will keep the wolf at the door of physicality, so to speak, at bay. And this is what he's talking about here. It says, because of this limitation of man, I had found it very helpful to employ a specified interval of time in making this journey into a prepared mansion. And then he goes into the scriptural statement, wait but a little while. And he talks about that the proof that you could do this, I'm paraphrasing, he talks about how we've all said before, this feels like a Friday or this feels like a Sunday. A Friday has a certain feeling to it. And that's why at the beginning of these videos I will say, like, this is Friday, Freedom Friday. Or today we're making this video Sunday. Because I want you to associate a certain feeling with a certain day of a week, because we're going to use that later as an instrument, as a modality to help you get into the state of that. But remember what the days of the week feel like, and it's very rare that we're going to revert to a Monday, unless that's a Monday in which you are completely free, and we can revert to that, like the Monday that you wake up and you say, you know what, I don't have to go anywhere because I am now completely free from the prison grid. It's going to be because of the steps that we're giving right here, right now in this channel. So stay tuned for that. He says, so the ability to dwell at any point in time permits us to employ time in our travel into the desired mansion. Now I am consciousness, go to a point in time and there prepare a place. If I go to such a point in time and prepare a place, I shall return to this point in time where I have left, and I shall pick up and take you with me into that place which I have prepared, that where I am, there also ye may be. He says, let me give you an example of this travel. Suppose you had an intense desire. Like most men who are enslaved by time, you might feel that you could not possibly realize so large a desire in a limited interval. So, for example, if I told you you could be free by next Monday from a job and a boss, and you're $20,000 in debt, and you're stuck to your job, there's no way you're going to believe that. It's highly unlikely on this film roll that you can get there. Of course, there's a film roll where you're already there, but I'm trying to get your focus free from this one so that you can go to that one and get there sooner. But it's very unlikely you're going to believe me, just because it's so ingrained within you. But admitting that all things are possible to God, believing God to be the me within you, or your conscious being, indeed your consciousness of being, you can say, as John, or as Javier, or as Mark, or whatever your name is, as Martha, I can do nothing. And that's true. It's what we call your left brain. You're very limited as to what you can do, because all you have is the material that are presented to you by your senses, that's presented to you on this film roll. But since all things are possible to God, and God I know to be my consciousness of being, your right brain, and indeed even above that, I can realize my desire in a little while. How my desire will be realized, I do not, as John, know. But by the very law of my being, I do know it, that it shall be. With this belief firmly established, decide what would be a relative rational interval of time in which such a desire could be realized. So we're giving a rational interval of time to get free from a boss and a job, 6 months to a year. In this example of the planning that we're going to be going into in the next few days, I want you to give it a year. Even though that sounds like a long time, and I promise you that many of you are going to achieve it much sooner than that, but give yourself a year. And we're going to explain a little bit why. But he says, again, let me remind you not to shorten the interval of time because you're anxious to receive your desire. Make it a natural interval. No one can give you the time interval, only you can say what the natural interval would be to you, and you can judge by your situation whether it's 6 months, whether it's 2 weeks, whether it's a year, whether it's 2 years, but we're going to give the example in this channel of a year because that's very possible, ladies and gentlemen. Even according to the forces of the prison grid, it's very possible to do that if you maintain the laser-like focus that we're going to give you the tools to maintain on this channel. But the interval of time is relative, that is, no two individuals would give the same measurement of time for the realization of their desire. So, if today were Wednesday and you decide that it would be quite possible for your desire to embody a new realization of yourself by Sunday, then Sunday becomes the point in time that you would visit. To make this visit, you shut out Wednesday and let it be Sunday. This is accomplished by simply feeling that it is Sunday. Begin to hear church bells, begin to feel the quietness, and so on and so forth. Basically, it could be a date. We're going to set a date in the calendar when you're going to be free, say, from your job and a boss. And the first steps of this, we're going to help you feel yourself right into that day, and you're going to be there. And of course, it could be next week, but we're going to help you feel yourself into that day. But when this is accomplished, feel the joy of having received that which on Wednesday was but a desire. Feel the complete thrill of having received it, then return to Wednesday, the point in time you left behind you. In doing this, you created a vacuum in consciousness by moving from Wednesday to Sunday. Nature, abhorring vacuums, now here's a perfect scientific explanation, rushes to fill it in, thereby fashioning a mold in the likeness of that which you would potentially create, namely, the joy of having realized your defined desires. You return to Wednesday, you will be filled with a joyful expectancy because you have established the consciousness of that which must take place the following Sunday. As you walk through the interval Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, nothing disturbs you regardless of conditions because you predetermined that which you would be on the Sabbath, and that remains an unalterable conviction. Having gone before and prepared the place, you have returned to John and are now taking him with you through the interval of 3 days into the prepared place, that he might share your joy with you. For where I am, there you may be also. Sounds a lot like Joe Dispenza also in his meditations sometimes. He says, see the future you, talking to the past you, and then the you seeing both yous in the past and the future, and it is now 3 yous, and you're giving your love from you to you. You can see Joe Dispenza's meditations. It basically sounds like the same concept. It is the same concept. So, all of the steps of this planning process, which we've gone over in the last few days, the last 10 videos, which I'd encourage you to watch if you have not watched them, are basically scaffolds and tools to help you get into that state of where you want to be. It's not taking action to get there, ladies and gentlemen. It is a flowing, so to speak, out of the state that you're already in. But I can't really explain this to you rationally. In order to do it, in order to feel that, you have to experience it. That's why I'm going to take you on this journey. And today is basically the first step of that hands in the clay practical journey of what is strategic planning. I'm here in my planning center in my war room on my desk here, where I do a lot of the planning. The wall is bare now, but we will be putting up cuttings and so on and so forth and notes, and we're going to show you how we do this. Of course, this is coming later, but what I'm doing is I'm dividing this strategic planning period into 3 distinct periods. The first period is going to be the preparation stage, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to encourage you for your plan of rapid lifestyle transformation that's going to happen a year from now. I'm going to encourage you to start the exploration and research phase of that on October 1st. And then I'm going to encourage you to set the date of October 1st, 2024 for the date when you will be free from a job and a boss, completely free from the prison grid, and generating an income that you want with a free schedule, and if not living in exactly the safe and place that you've chosen, on the way to that. But you're going to be independent from a job and a boss, and you're going to be on the way to establishing your living situation, your financial situation by that time. Why am I giving it a year? Again, because it's something that you can sort of feel less rushed about, and then energy will be released so that you can create with comfort, you can create with space, and I promise you, for a lot of you, it's going to happen serendipitously before that time. Because remember, this plan, don't be attached to this plan that things happen as you plan, because a lot of times things are going to come to you from outside the plan. But it's from coming to the very process of planning itself that is what we're aiming for here, not necessarily the specifics of it. The specifics of it are just so that you can shut your left brain up, so to speak, enough to allow the right brain to get to work. And that is indeed the true worker. That's the subconscious worker, and that's the one that's going to be getting the process underway. So I hope you understand me just a little bit, and if you don't, keep watching the videos coming up in the next weeks. So the first step is going to be between now and October 1st. And that's going to be planning the plan. That's right. And I've already written a few steps here of what that process is like. I've used this in a lot of business processes. I haven't seen this pre-planning stage actually written anywhere. I'm sure it is. But for me, it's good to plan what you're going to do for the plan, so to speak. Metaplanning is what I call it, so that you can have a good roadmap of where you're going, and then your subconscious will have material to work on. But the first step that I've had is, okay, so the basic framework of this. For less than a month, probably about 3 weeks, you're going to be planning the plan. That's all you're going to be doing. You're going to be coming into a relaxed state of basically getting the meta scaffolds in order for your plan. Then the first 6 months are going to be what I call the research and development and testing phases. So to be free from a job and a boss, for example, you're going to be looking for ways to make income. You're going to be researching those, and we're going to give you the tools to do that here. And you're going to test some of them, and we're going to give you the tools to road test them with very small quantities of money, if any money, And then you're going to be able to multiply that and extrapolate whether or not these are going to be good for you. And of course, you're also testing for the conditions that you've set. The conditions that I set, for example, are that I don't want to have to focus on it any more than 4 hours a day. And I want to be able to take any days off that I want. And I want to be able to work from any location I want. And I want to be able to have those 4 hours be at any time of the day that I want. And I only want to have to work on this 4 or 5 days a week. You can alter this to conditions that suit your personal temperament, so on and so forth. We'll be going into this, but you'll be testing those for the 6 months. And it might not take that long, by the way. It might take 3 weeks. And when you come to something, then you start implementing phase 2 of that. Phase 2, the second 6 months, or the second period of the plan, is going to be the practice, learning, and training, and the dry run implementation of that. And it might not take 6 months. Again, it might take 6 weeks, might take 2 months, but we're just going to look at it from the perspective of 6 months so we can do it with comfort. You're basically going to be taking a few of the ideas that you've tested. In the first 6 months, you're going to be implementing them, and you're going to be practicing the skills necessary to implement them. And then after that 6 months, you're going to actually implement it and begin making your first income from those. This is just an example. So the first part of this, we want to basically plan a little bit more. So the first step, and these are in no particular order, you want to ask what tools, spaces, and gear do I need, for example. So you need a good desk, probably. You need GTD, and we're going to be talking about that. You need GTD, and that's Getting Things Done by David Allen, which is an organizational and time management system which will basically make you a martial artist when it comes to productivity, so on and so forth. It'll make you be able to get your head clear, get things out of your head and onto paper and onto lists so that you can be free to create spontaneously, and so on and so forth. We'll be talking about more. But what tools do you need? What spaces do you need? Even more importantly, what people and collaborations will you need to start the first stage of this? And of course, you'll want to have space, and you'll want to be creating time, and you'll want to be plotting times on your calendar where you can be alone and where you can actually plan these steps and so on and so forth, and you can actually start implementing the planning process for the first 6 months. Right now, we're just planning the first 6 months, and later we'll plan the second 6 months. Also, energy levels and diet and so on and so forth. This is very important. Even though we know that no matter how you feel, it is coming to you, for the sake of the game, we'll want you to be in your peak energy. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit more. Should you exercise? How should you sleep? What energetic components should you put? And that's for the physical energy, and also for the spiritual and mental energy. You want to be setting up scaffolds. We talked about that in some of the videos. Meditation, getting into alpha state, the heart meditation. These are very important because you'll want to be at your best, especially when you're implementing the practice phases of this, especially when you're implementing the testing phase. You want to be at your best because you don't want your tests colored by negative emotions in as much as you can. And don't get too crazy about this. Again, if anything of this feels like work or effort, you can always take a step back. That's part of the energetic scaffolds also. Taking breaks, self-care, taking days off. This is all going to be part and parcel of the plan here. Again, time and space. Now, negative thinking here is very important. How can I fail? And Tim Ferriss talks a lot about this in his meta-learning and in his accelerated learning and so on and so forth, and his methodologies, his optimization modalities. How can I fail? Make a list of things that you can do to totally screw up the first 6 months of this project testing. A lot of them will be, well, I don't give any time, I don't think about it at all, I put it off, I am disturbed so much that I can't have time alone, space alone, and so forth. Write those all down, and then what you're going to want to do is, in the planning phase of this, in the first few weeks of this that we're going into right now, starting today, is you'll want to try to come up with and implement countermeasures to those. Because if you have countermeasures and counter plans for those things that can go wrong, then you're most likely to succeed here. Again, this is in the game, and again, this is all just so that you can get your energy free, so that you can do the real work, which is the mental focus here. Hope you're following me just a little bit. And then, of course, discipline. And discipline is, of course, not forcing yourself, but it's discipline and focus, because it's focus, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm a coach in, and it's focus that's going to take you across the finish line. So this is just the start of this. I want you to sit down in your space. I want you to create your space. We're going to be talking the next few videos about your space, about your tools and your gear, and what you need to implement this. And it's going to be a fun ride, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to learn a lot together. We're going to go through this together. And so we hope to see you very soon. We're going to be making videos all week about this. I will see you tomorrow. Remember, I'm doing coaching calls where I will take you through this hand in hand, step by step. And we will make more progress in weeks than some people make in years. So thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, because not only will it energetically link you with a group, with a team of master manifestors, and you'll be getting videos daily, usually daily, always weekly, of great value about rapid lifestyle transformation, getting you free from a job and a boss. Not only will it do that, but it will also help us get the word out, which is very important in the times that are coming, ladies and gentlemen. It's very important to get as many people free from the prison grid as possible. So thanks for watching. Until tomorrow, this is Javier with great love and appreciation. Ciao.